Welcome. This is Jordan with Foodbevy, the online community for food and beverage founders. And today I'm talking with Dustin Gersch, founder of Paleo Seasoning, and really looking forward to this conversation. So Dustin, let's jump right in. I'd love for you to tell me a little bit about the product and how you got started.
Sure. So I'll start. How I got started was back in 2010. I went to an annual physical, and the doctor basically told me I was too young to be that. So for me, it was a lifestyle change, and I started doing CrossFit, started exercising, lost some weight, kind of plateaued. My nutritionist, then I found a nutritionist, which I argue or kind of say that nutritionists are kind of like unicorns or leprechauns, and you really can't. They're there, but you can't find them when you need them. But I got a nutritionist. She kind of told me how to change up my lifestyle. I followed a paleo diet, make a whole 30 paleo-ish type diet, and along it, I noticed that my food was not flavorful. And then as I was seasoning stuff on it, my coach would be like, "Hey, you got to watch out. Some of that stuff has sugar, gluten, MSG." And so I created my first bottle of seasoning for me. And then along the way, because for me, it was just trying to look better naked, right? Trying to, feel better, fit better clothes, confidence, everything else. But then as I kept going, I started going to paleo conventions and started going to different things again, trying to really hone in. Again, it was a hobby. But then I learned about people that had like autoimmune issues or IBS or diabetics. And so, heart health. And so I focused my product lineup on trying to add flavor, transform your life through flavor with no matter what your dietary needs or requirements are. So it started out of my need, and then understand people have shittier stuff in life than I do. And so that's kind of where we hope to add value.
I love that. So talk a little bit about your seasonings and the breadings and what makes them special and unique.
So I'll argue. I'll just say that it doesn't make. There's nothing special or unique about them, except for the sense that most major companies out there, most people that do seasoning, want to check a box, right? Is it a taco seasoning? Is it a fish seasoning? Is it steak? And we kind of take a different approach, because when I started, it was about, okay, I just need an all-purpose. And I've done barbecue competitions. I've been seasoning my food, so for me, it wasn't anything new. But for me, it was like I just wanted something convenient. I just wanted one bottle that sat on the counter. I had a full-time job. I'm trying to exercise, lose weight. I was married. I mean, all the shit and responsibility. Luckily, I didn't have kids. Now I've got two kids. And so if I was trying to do this with two kids and a wife and job, and it'd be crazy. So for me, my seasoning was just about convenience. And then, like I said, I was worried about losing weight. But there's a lot of other people out there, like, heart health people with zero sodium and trying to add flavor and eat the way they need to without the salt. Or there's people with autoimmune issues that are trying to, again, add flavor, convenience without the nightshades or without the stuff that irritates their body. And then people like IBS, there's, again, all our stuff is designed to be all purpose, but for your diet. So that's kind of what makes us a little different. We're focused consumer first, and check the box, or the corporate America, is it taco, is it fish, is it whatever. So that's our biggest difference, and that's, I kind of think, why we have lasted as long as we have so far without getting squished, is that we've kind of stuck to our guns with why we're doing what we're doing.
Yeah, I love that. And then talk to me a little bit about this positioning around paleo, because I know it comes from that personal experience.
Yeah.
Do you kind of see paleo as something that's not the diet, but maybe even just the
Yeah.
word, like a little bit of trendy, and like keto is really big now, and kind of transition a little bit that way. Kind of how have you navigated that shift?
For That's a great question. That's like the $1 million or $100 million question. It started out because that's what I followed, and I would argue that I'm not a paleo guy, right? I feel like if you and there is some of a tide shifting from paleo, right? But I think that the way I live my life is, it's like, okay, paleo to me means no dairy, no grain, no processed foods, right? And so I don't. It's not like, okay, paleo is this bucket, or keto is this bucket, or vegans this bucket, or whatever. It's kind of like, hey, what works with your life? And I think that's the problem. Is I think everybody needs a place to start. And for our brand being in seasoning, it's a huge differentiator because there's really no one else putting out there like, hey, we got a healthy seasoning. So even if, which again, but if you look at it from a branding standpoint in that category, it stands out significantly because we've had people that buy our stuff because we put the auto AIP on there, right? We put IBS or FODMAP on there. We put salt-free on there. So a lot of people don't buy our product because it says paleo powder. They buy it for the AIP, the autoimmune or the salt-free, and that's their focus. So we are going to do, I mean, that is the game plan down the road to shift the branding a little bit. But with where we're at, it still adds value. But again, I would say it's all about personal choice. It's all about making the right decisions of what feels good for your body. And so, I mean, I eat dairy. I mean, I don't drink milk, but I eat cheese, or butter. So it all has to work with your body. And so if you have to start at a point of a keto or paleo or whatever, that's kind of our stance. So we don't say that we're paleo, but it is, like you said, it's a catchy name. It's a trendy name. We're aware of that. And of course, doing everything as a small business to make sure we stay ahead of it.
Totally and completely understand that. So also tell me a little bit more about how you're manufacturing the product. And, we were talking a little bit about manufacturing it yourself versus working with contract manufacturers. So talk about that process for me and where are the challenges and where have you kind of found success?
Yeah. So I'll start from the beginning, but I'll do it really fast. So just like I think any entrepreneur, any food entrepreneur, right? You make it in your house. You make it in your kitchen. I used to make the stuff in 5-gallon buckets on my kitchen table. My wife hated it, but that's how we got started, just like I think everybody. And then you have to think ahead to be like, okay, what if this does work? Right? What if people do buy my product? And so I started looking at a co-packer basically probably less than a year that I was selling it. And I was just a planner. So, I got with a co-packer and we're doing like 360 bottles runs as the minimum. And then it's just gradually gone up and up and up. And and that's been going on for 8 years. And so this year, we have decided to take in one part of our new breading, which we didn't talk about it, but our new breadless breading, which is almond, either almond base or pecan base, or even a cassava allergen-free base. We've decided to bring that in-house for the packaging of it. We have it blended at another facility, but we bring it here to package it because we have some of the packaging efficiencies here versus my co-packer. But then beyond that, like I was saying earlier, when you're in a new product and you don't know what velocity or demand is going to be, it's really hard for you to be fair and honest to a co-packer that's trying to kind of put all the people in place and make sure he has his employees or their employees working. But that's kind of why we took it on ourselves, is because we're trying to learn ourselves, maybe save or make a little money, but have the flexibility and kind of gather that data over the next 6 to 12 months. So that's kind of been but most of our stuff is still co-packed with the seasoning bottles, because again, startup equipment for those, as simple as it is, when you're running, we're not a big company, but when you're running, 100,000 bottles a year or so, it's still, the equipment costs more than you want to buy it off.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I've experienced that as well.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. And looking back a couple months, it's crazy that it's already middle of almost end of July now. But take me back to January, February, the year starting off probably great. And then all the closures starts happening with COVID. How has your business been affected, and how have you kind of navigated the last couple months?
So from a business, I'll break this up into two parts because I think I know everybody listening has a business life and a real life. So for business, it has been phenomenal. Because of my product is a seasoning, a flavor enhancer. Most people are, if not everybody's, cooking at home more. So we've seen a huge increase in sales. That's good and bad because as we get more orders going out, we have to forecast, and then, this whole COVID thing has affected everybody from co-packers to ingredients to hell, even 18-wheel, like truckers. So 18-wheelers that come by that would say, the guy that would call me, my relationship locally with my pickup, right? I don't say, it sounded like his dog had got run over because just all the stress of like, okay, and just this is for everybody. If 18-wheelers and trains stop moving, we are all screwed. So I would say back in March, it was a little scary, but we kept our head down, kept plowing. And like I said, I think I heard from one of my mentors in a town hall I was in that said you have to look at like this period of time as the scene in Forrest Gump when they're out in the ocean and the hurricane hits them, right? If you can survive the hurricane, you'll be fine, because there's a lot of people that are going to go out of business. So that's kind of been our mindset and mantra. And then again, just trying to be as efficient as we can and learn every single day. But from a business standpoint, COVID has been great. I don't want to say we take advantage of that, but we've had, we got money from the federal, I don't know if you want to jump to that, but the federal, payroll protection. We got a little bit of money for that. We got the economic, the EIDL loan, which has been huge. And I mean, yeah, from a business standpoint, it's great, but I've got a wife and kids at home, so that really did not want me to leave the house. So from a business standpoint, it was great. From the at-home life, it's been just like everybody, right? It's just been stressful. So.
Yeah, and that's good to hear. And it's interesting in the food space because it's almost like by category and by product, which companies have seen a huge boost and which ones have been flat or either lower than they were.
Yeah.
And so it's so interesting just how like, separated the food community has been. Because I talked to other brands who are like, yep, it's been fantastic. Other brands are like, basically order stopped. And so it's definitely been all over the place. And then talk to me about the next 6 to 12 months. Like, where are you seeing the industry going or consumers going based on everything that you're experiencing?
I mean, everything, well, I guess it all depends. And I don't want to put my own personal opinion on like just everything else going on out there. But I think from a business standpoint, our mindset is that, hey, the next 6 to 12 months should be really good. We're going to make sure that we buckle down and stay as lean as we can. For the next 6 to 12 months, we don't really plan on getting any more stores because we're happy with our strategy right now. So we just want to focus on driving, or one, make sure we can fill our orders now, and then two, focus on driving sales at the stores that we're at. But then I think like what I've heard from other mentors that have been, one of my mentors was from Stubbs Barbecue. Seasonings and sauce and charcoal and everything else Stubbs does. And if you haven't noticed it, this whole pandemic of everybody eating at home and restaurants suffering, it's not going to be, people are going to notice they have more money in their checking accounts. People are going to notice that probably family time their family time has gotten a little better with people eating around the table. So if it were to end tomorrow, or let's say it ends at the end of the year or ends September, whatever, I still think it's been a tectonic shift. Am I saying that right? Right. But like a huge shift to where it's going to take another long time to get people out to where they're like, hey, we're going to eat out more. So I think the longer this lasts of quarantine, not, quarantine or whatever, because people not going to work or going to their office, having to work, eat at home. I just think that's going to extend the possibilities for people with the food business, especially us, because we're a flavor enhancer for food, for meals. So, but that's my opinion. So I think the next 6 to 12 should be good. We need to make sure we are efficient with everything we do on it, so we don't screw up this opportunity.
Yeah, definitely not take advantage of it, but help provide people with what they're looking for during this time, help their lives be easier.
Yeah.
That's great. And then I always like to ask, if you could give one piece of advice to another founder based on your experience, what would that be?
Find somebody that has done it before you. Find somebody that has in your and I would argue to find somebody in your space, because categories, right? Most people that are successful are so focused in their categories. So try to find somebody a peer that in your category, even if they're your competitor or they're very successful. What I've noticed in this world, because it's a small community, is that everybody wants to help people. And so find a mentor, and if they give you any attention, just suck the life out of it. I would say one of the things that will help you if you try to find a mentor, because most of those people are going to be super busy because they're successful. If they give you any tips, if they give you any like, well, I would do this, if it fits with what you're doing, then make that change or make that adjustment, and then reach out to the person and say, hey, you told me to do X. I looked at it. I did X. What else you got? And most mentors are going to love that you're reactive but proactive. You're listening to what we're saying. And I say we, but listening to what they're saying. And that is where I've gotten most of my growth and most of my stuff from, is just other mentors. And, you know, if it's on an airplane, if it's somewhere, it's just making sure that if they give you an idea, if you follow up with them, they will give you more. So that's my biggest thing, is grab a mentor, grab somebody. Again, try to focus in your space or your category, or at least around your category, to make it relevant. But that has been the hugest success for me. And I would just pass it along to anybody, is, you know, have a mentor, have somebody you can talk to, vent to, and they've probably already been through the same stresses, struggles, frustrations that you have. So that would be my best tip.
Yes, I love that advice.
Yeah.
Awesome. Dustin Gersch, founder of Paleo Powder. Thanks so much for being on today.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.